Hello, hello, welcome back, everybody. We are back for round three of Junior's Draft. Once again, I am Toma, joined by Weef, and we've got an awesome matchup here today. And we got Yippee Yonder versus Vunderstorm, and these are two fun team names, I think.
Indeed. I think I remember from when I commentated a previous junior draft. I think I remember Yippee Yonder.
And I think I
Um,
remember Vunderstorm, so
yeah, wonderful. Um, yeah, no, they only I remember Yippee Yonder because they came out of their group in the junior draft that they played it undefeated, and they only lost to the overall winners. Um, yeah, they got second place alpha bracket in their event, which is certainly interesting. And I don't believe two of the members have continued playing individually, placing silver bracket and minnow cup, which is a pretty good one. So that's pretty exciting. And I don't know. I'm interested to see if Vunderstorm does actually pull out of Under. I don't think it's on their roster, but that would be fun.
yeah, it would be fun to see. Vunderstorm, on the other hand, they have not played, but apparently barely spoken since the last juniors draft in which they participated in. They've continued to play casually, but they haven't even ranked up in Anarchy, so we're looking at it still just a true juniors draft team.
Yeah. Sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder, but sometimes absence makes the heart grow stronger. Even if you spend a while not playing the game or doing anything really, sometimes you can come back and actually find out that you improved in the time that you took off. Breaks are always helpful if you're feeling stuck, so always remember to take a break if you're not feeling too great. So we're gonna see
100%
if
agreed.
if the players who are a little bit rusty take it on top, or Yippee Yonder, the continuous the players who continue to play are gonna have a good streak here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see as well. Loading into this first game, we've got Undertow Tower Control. One of my favorite maps, but not one of my favorite modes, unfortunately. Loading out here too right now, I see you got two blasters on each side, or a blaster on each side, and you got a bucket on each side, which is just, it makes sense for this map. This is one of those maps where there's all these ledges and things to hang around, and the brush even too is just an excellent pick for being able to just apply a ton of AoE damage.
Yeah, the Stamper as well is seeming to put out work as well, putting continuous pressure, partnering with that range blaster to just make it so that Yippee Yonder can't even think of touching this tower. And they are going to be going into that bubble, which is placed very well to get them through that first checkpoint, but they still got a long way to go. But they've continued to keep that pressure down. Like, continue to keep that numbers advantage, and although the Stamper does go down, I believe in their Zipcaster, it looks like they're going to be progressing right on to their second checkpoint with very little contesting.
Right now, that blaster is doing the absolute most work there, and you see that the slosher is ready to look there at the side, but unfortunately is going down. There is a bubble out to protect this tower, and as you see that Yippee Yonder is trying to make a break for it, they weren't quite able to successfully do it before they were able to reach checkpoint 3, and 24 is a huge number to push to on this map.
Yeah, that was the first push of the game, really. That was barely over a minute in and already reached that third checkpoint. And so, while they are three down now and Yippee Yonder has their time to shine, that was a very fantastic first showing that Yippee Yonder is basically going to be fighting to beat that entire game.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be pressing for that. Right now, the Blaster continuing to put in just absolutely the most work there. You saw just pick after pick of huge wipeout on the Vunderstorm, going to be giving them just essentially the advantage they need to be able to take this back, especially with this Inkjet out in tandem, that they need to watch that Slosher that's over there poking at the tower. This is where the pushes get a little sketchy. There's so much pressure that can be put on from the defending team, since they can stay kind of safely in their base and still pressure that tower. But the Blaster here still continuing to put in the absolute most work. They are going to have to kind of wait out this bubble before engaging, that they are able to find another one on the tower, and it looks like Vunderstorm right now just kind of struggling to stay alive here on the map, as Yippee Yonder has been putting in great presence, but now finally 3 down. It does look like this will kind of be this push coming to an end.
But Fortitude is certainly not a push to snooze at, and while they do have to go further, they did break the checkpoints that would be in their way. So now all they need to do is get some picks, and they, well, the Octobrush does go down in their Zipcaster, they do get a pick, do start to disturb the defenses of Vunderstorm a little bit, and pave the way for their teammates to continue pushing on, and I believe that Range Blaster is going to try to do some work. Doesn't quite find a pick, but is still doing a good job supporting their team as they begin to round the corner, beating their previous record, and the timer keeps on ticking.
Yeah, they definitely are trying to get that timer rolling down there. You do see the wipeout, though, on Yippee Yonder, as now Vunderstorm is going to be able to take more space here. Coco on that blaster, looking to try to make a move along with Ori with that Booyah Bomb, creating a lot of pressure there on the right-hand side, but unfortunately no picks just yet. The brush comes into that bubble, unable to pick. Lucan there in the tower as they're just able to ride forward, and they've already taken down 2 of Yippee Yonder. They just are looking for that blaster there on the side that causes a lot of trouble, but while they turned around, somebody shot their back. Vunderstorm's trying to keep it going, but just all this yellow paint around tower is getting kind of crazy. But Coco with a crazy triple there. You can't gather up around when there's a blaster about.
Yeah, especially the range blaster that can just poke eternally. It's certainly one of its massive strengths in being able to kind of hold an area like that if it sets itself up right. And a beautiful direct keeps its blood streak going here as they just continue picking on, really not giving Yippee Yonder a break whatsoever. This is Octobrush popping the zip probably specifically to try to get them out, but ends up finally getting that pick and finally fishing them out. We are a minute left in this game, and Yippee Yonder has their work cut out for them, but they do have the situation that they want to be in. 3 down, they are chasing that last member down, does get the pick, really starting to stagger now. All they need is the control in front of the tower to be able to disperse it well enough to keep it maintained until I can get all the way to, hopefully for them, 24 or under. That is what they need to do, and they have their sights set on victory.
And I really think it can come down to these blasters about how this is going to play out, since they've kind of been the key players on both sides. But right now, it looks like Vunderstorm able to control that tower, but going 3 down in the process, this is going to be the opportunity for Yippee Yonder to be able to take it home. They just need to watch out for that blaster and not let them take everybody out before they're able to pass the point. And there's checkpoint 3. They need to stay on just a tad longer, but no, they're not able to do so quite yet. There goes finally the lead change and the full wipeout. Then, you know, not going to be able to knock that game out, but if there were a few more seconds, they definitely could have there. Yippee Yonder coming from behind excellently.
Yeah, never give up is the name of the game. Because things like that always find a way to happen. You know, sometimes it's hopeless. Sometimes there really is a very low chance of you actually making a comeback, but you never know until it's over, and it's always worth it to try because things like that happen, and that does lead them into a pretty good advantage as they start at this set, meaning that they only had to take one more to end up winning it overall. But you know, it's really looking good for them right now. It's just but very tight competition overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Just really coming together at the right moment. I was a little bit worried here for them for a second because you saw they hopped off the tower, and I was like, no, that's not what you want to do right now. Like, that's the worst thing is if you hop off the tower and then the blaster just gets another triple and then you just can't get back to it. Could have been the worst case scenario, but thankfully they were able to avoid that.
But Vunderstorm, having not played the game recently at all, definitely a good showing from them. And so, as we move on to Claimlet Scorch, or that's Rainmaker, sorry, Rainmaker Scorch. I'm excited to see how these teams duke it out if that game was anything to go by.
Yeah, well, and this is, I am interested too because both of them played so aggressively, especially with those blasters just kind of getting in the face, getting picks left and right. Like we saw multiple triples go down from both blaster players, and this is a map where if you make something like that happen, points go crazy fast on Scorch Gorge, and if you can just if you can get your little feet up that ramp, and you're gonna fly by. And on the other hand, with it too, right? You know, once the opponent's kind of pushed up really fast into your base, the fact that you have to go even farther than that, these pushes are insane on this map. It's very rare that you see complete knockouts. It's just usually high scoring game after high scoring game when it comes to Scorch Rain.
Yeah, it's like you have to climb through that choke point, which is really kind of difficult. So a lot of the time you see a pretty big stall at the beginning, but like once you climb that mountain, once you make it to the top, it's all smooth sailing from there. You got a nice gentle snowball down that slope, and we'll see how this goes here. The E-Leader could certainly change the game if it slows things down enough, as well as those trash fixes are going to go out pretty much immediately, try to set the pace of the game. Looks like Ori on Vunderstorm is going to go ahead and try to pick up the Rainmaker, but quickly gets cornered by members of Yippee Yonder who take it out pretty much immediately, trying to go for a sneaky little punish there, but they're still picking it up, and Yippee Yonder is 2 down. If they can get the pick on the Rainmaker, which they end up doing, that's going to slow them down just a little bit, but they still have a good control of mid, and it's still not really decided.
They've got to keep eyes on this 52 gal weave. They've taken down the Rainmaker twice. They're being an absolute pain for the members of Vunderstorm here at the moment. And this is the thing about Rainmaker. You can't really pick that up reliably until you either A, get full numbers advantage and you like can really just make sure that you can collapse in on the final person. But part of collapsing it on the final person is knowing where they are. And it just looks like right now at the moment, Vunderstorm can't quite keep eyes on all the members of Yonder.
Yeah, and that hammer is going to go out trying to corner that Rainmaker. Does get a pick on the person trying to protect the Rainmaker. That leads to a double and then a triple. Whoa. With a beautiful hammer toss.
Huge.
Really putting them back in the game here as they can try to contest mid once again to start getting points rolling. But like I said here, it's going to be a pretty big stall until one of these teams can really break through. Trash Check's going to go out, making mid a little bit more difficult yet again. But I believe that's a torpedo kill that this Wiper here got, which is going to lead to finally something a point push above 90, and that's going to be the first checkpoint broken of the game.
Yeah, that was great. Really, that hammer was able to open that up, and they kind of just were able to get the space that they need off of. Obviously, the hammer didn't make that whole play happen, but it gave them that initial space that they needed to get things rolling, and that's how it goes sometimes in Rainmaker. But as they went down, you just now see all of this orange, all the control of paint in favor of Vunderstorm, but that is very quickly shifting as Yippee Yonder breaking back in there does find the pick on the Rainmaker, and it's once again this 52 gal who is leading the charge for them.
Yeah, and so they are going to need to push on, trying to focus on that E-Leader, which is a massive pick, because now there's basically nothing stopping them from keeping on going. They are 3 down, or they do have 1 member down, but they still have the rest of them up, and they're still getting the picks. They still have the pressure that they need. It's 52, or shooter on shooter violence over here, as that ends up does lose out to, once again, this 52 gal who is putting in the work and making things happen. E-Leader is now watching Rainmaker, which makes things a little bit more difficult, but that Zipcaster is going to go out, get a pick, and still just an absolute bloodbath in here. The Rainmaker may reset before they have a chance to push it further. They do pick it up and reset that timer, but now they are a little bit at more of a disadvantage, but they just keep on jumping, and they are not stopping.
No, they're playing this like it's Splatoon 1. They've got that, quick respawn, stealth, quick to super jump on going in here. The hammer leading its way up the ramp is going to potentially be huge for them, but they have to pick up the Rainmaker. There it is, and the full white points are going to fly by like crazy. This may be the rare KO, and we are going to see it. Yippee Yonder going 2 up, but Vunderstorm still has a chance to take one last game in this set.
Yippee Yonder proving that, the experience that they've gained has definitely been worth it. That was a fantastic game. There are moments where it looked like Vunderstorm was going to get another pretty good push, like did in that first tower game, but then they just got pick after pick, and they played exactly like that fast, aggressive comp that they were running 1 and 2. They were just being as annoying. They were using their QR. They were jumping in. Every time that Vunderstorm got a pick, it felt meaningless because there's another player jumping right back in to replace them, and just a nice continuous stream of pressure that you love to see in these games. It's super frustrating to play against, a very satisfying to see get pulled off.
Yeah. Absolutely, and just here you kind of see it all come together. That hammer for a second time in the game are really making the clutch kind of play. We saw it for the first checkpoint break. It was kind of what gave them the space that they needed to move forward, and here again, they didn't have the Rainmaker in their possession, but as soon as they did, the way was already cleared because that hammer player was just like, hey, I'm gonna go mop this up real quickly for us.
Yeah, and the picks that they got was crucial. The hammer plays, I always love to see it, was super, super crucial to their success there. Of course, everyone else put in the work, but those hammers are an easy highlight to quickly pick out to point out their success.
It's such a funny special too because it's in such an awkward space where like half the times it doesn't work right and you just die when you like pop it, and it's like, okay, I've gained absolutely 0 value from it, but like when it works, it works.
Oh, yeah. And it's so fun to watch when it does, especially against players that might not know how, like I said, it's everything about this is, we're seeing weapons that don't usually get a chance to work shine here because players might not know how to fight against them, and that's glorious. I can imagine us living, it's a peek into a world where the meta is different, and it's always so fun to watch. Not that hammer doesn't ever work sometimes, like you said, but it's hard. It's very rare that you get to see it really shine like how it just did.
Yeah, no, not common at all, you know. And then given I'm a little bit, I see it all the time. I play with a Splatano one trick who refuses to play a missile weapon. So, like, I see hammer out all the time. And I get to see when it does work. But, you know, a lot of the times, love my teammate, they'll pop it and just something will happen and they will die through the hammer because that's just how Splatoon works.
And yeah, we are moving on to this last game. Is Vunderstorm
Almost
gonna...
Splatana.
Oh, is Vunderstorm going to have the chance to prove themselves and just get that one last game, or is Yippee Yonder going to take the clean sweep? Well, we're going to see here as we go into this Clam Blitz on Barnacle and Dime. Like I said, double Splatana, double specifically double Wiper, which isn't something you see too often. Usually if it's double Splatana, it's the Stamper Wiper combo, but here they're going all out, it seems.
Yeah, I can't help but think that they're wanting to play this very, very aggressively. They've got that zap to provide the cooler for them to move in and, you know, play a little bit more aggressively without having to worry about being punished. They have the missiles to work off of. They have beacons to get back in faster. And they've got just... The Wiper is already a very aggressive weapon, and if you get that paint down, you can allow it to combo with the blaster. It could potentially allow some really interesting gameplay here out of them, but they've got to get their footing here in mid. They do find a pick over here, but it's just trades back and forth on both sides right now, as both are 2 down, and you've got everybody just trying to jump back in, fight for mid control, which Vunderstorm does have at the moment, but it can flip so fast on this map. You know, it's not safe to say right now that they've really got anything going, especially with this power clam so far back and a little bit hesitant to approach because they see that, you know, they've got the Wiper coming in from the sides, they've got these missiles ready to go, that, you know, while there was blue down, the space wasn't really clear for them.
Yeah, it wasn't clear for them, but if they had rushed forward, there was a chance that they could have been able to hold it a little bit better, and now Yonder is taking full advantage that there was all that space that was painted but not really controlled in order to push forward and make their presence known. The dreaded hammer is at the ready here from Yonder, so you can see that popping out soon, making things happen, especially as we see 2 players on the side of Vunderstorm are marked, and so that can put a big target on their back, especially if they're not ready to put a push. They need to be aware of and position themselves smartly so they're not going to be sniffed out just as easily.
Yeah, but unfortunately 2 down. You see, though, that they're back pretty fast thanks to that cooler, thanks to those beacons, going to be allowing them to really play that aggressive, fast gameplay. But unfortunately, it means very little when all this paint is just going in control of Vunderstorm at the moment. Once again, though, the power clam kind of choosing to step back. Mika here not ready to move quite forward. Does finally do so, but when they do, their friends are going to go down, going to be forced to back up once again. You can see Yippee Yonder wasting no time to move in here, trying to find the pick on Mika. Does find it as well. Going to be able to stall out, see if they can even kill that clam, but not going to be able to do so yet, as Vunderstorm is able to recover it. But you see that Yippee Yonder just... they have no relenting here. They're just full force forward. You've got complete control of this left-hand side. It's just Vunderstorm trying to use these specials to desperately get back in, and as this hammer comes out, finds 2. He's gonna find a 3rd. The full wipeout is there. This is Yippee Yonder's time to shine.
It looks like they have plenty of clams on the board that they are going to be wisely spacing out here, trying to make this push last as long as they can, trying to make sure that they can do that thing that they did on that Rainmaker game where they can stagger out their picks and stagger out everything. But it looks like they are going to go down all except for that Wiper Deco, who is trying to hold on desperately to the scraps of control that they have in mid, trying to provide pressure while still keeping themselves safe. But that is a good first push. I mean, we only have a little bit less than 2 minutes left in the game, and the first push has just happened.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just how these games can be played, and I think that when you have, you know, listen, there's missiles on both sides. We both played Splatoon 2. We kind of know what that means, and it means that you're gonna just be kind of sitting there, farming special, playing the slow game until you can flush everybody out.
Yeah, and flush out is the word for what's happening to Vunderstorm here as Yippee Yonder takes the right side then the left side, then pushes through mid, making sure they have all their bases covered to push forward, popping that cooler to make sure they have a little bit of extra juice in their veins, and it looks like they're going to be trying to forge forward here. A little bit of a skirmish happening on the left side. One of the players goes down to an Automon, which means that their control in mid is less solid than they probably would have hoped, especially with those chumps going out. Looks like kind of evening the playing field and really trying to make sure that they can get in. But once again, the hammer of Wonder goes out. The super clam is made, and they're pushing once again with 45 seconds left on the clock.
This hammer player, like Jasperium here, is just like killing it every time. Has it at the right moments, and it's just going in. And I don't think Vunderstorm quite knows how to respond to it.
They're keeping the clams coming in, but it looks like they're out for a second. Somebody has to go back, but they're really struggling to maintain their control. But I don't think they're too worried about that with a lead of around 80 points, give or take. And 20 seconds left on the clock. Vunderstorm did get that pity, but I think that push was very well worth it because the chances that Vunderstorm has to get all of the clams they need and keep the control up for as long as they can, very low, but they can certainly try. It looks like they're still attempting to get mid back. 2 down on the side of Yippee Yonder means that they're going to start to get pushed back, but the early bubble pop and the fact that they're all the way across the map from that basket, they only have about 10 seconds left, means that it's going to be very difficult for them to get in. Cooler might go out in a second, but they're also they just have to keep pushing ahead with very little time to wait and think and try to get control in a meaningful way. Here on the right side, going to try to forge forward, but not quite able to make it past that really punishing timer, leading Yippee Yonder to a clean sweep with a 3-0.
Yeah, unfortunate really there at the end. You could see it that they were kind of just like trying to figure it out. They were trying to figure out when they could use their specials, but everything being popped for the retake, unfortunately, kind of leaves the tank empty for getting past mid. You saw that they were in mid, but not really able to do anything past it after that. As you have these chumps, you'll have the bubble here in a minute as well that were used to just kind of get Yippee Yonder out, which is important. You had to do it. Yippee Yonder could have just sat there and kept you in your base for the rest of the game if you hadn't done that, but you know, once you've broken that neutral kind of situation, you've got yourself into advantage. There's still further to go. You still got to get further. And when you start losing members and you've just got kind of more of this supportive type weapon like this Tri-Slosher Nouveau online, which don't get me wrong, it's still a Tri-Slosher. It can do great things, but it's not really the aggressive kind of frontline weapon that is just going to go and get kill after kill after kill, because it's generally going to stay back and poke with Fizzy and get cooler. And it doesn't leave you with the pressure that you need to really break in, especially by itself.
Yeah, and especially when you're running against the timer of the overtime clock in Clamblitz, it's so rough. I think I talk about it a lot, but it really is just the most punishing overtime out of all of them. You know, in spot zones, as long as you keep the zone painted, your timer's still good. If Rainmaker, if you're pushing forward, it's not going down as fast. If Tower, if you're pushing, but Clamblitz, it's like, if you're not at the basket when overtime hits, it's very, very difficult to get even close to getting that lead back. So...
Yeah, absolutely, I totally agree with you there. But that is going to wrap up our round 3, and we got one more round of Swiss groups left. You can kind of see the scores coming here on, and most teams are finishing up kind of their second game, going into their third games right now, and this is where it's all really starting to matter. This is where all that separation within the Swiss rounds is going to be going on, seeing who's going to be going to Alpha, Beta, and Gamma brackets today. But we're going to be going to a quick break before our final round of Swiss groups. We hope you'll be joining back with us very soon.
See you then.